Alright, we're going to make a video about what would happen if the internet went away for 10 years. And for the most part, we're going to be talking about, like, say, personal devices. Like with the cell phone. Without the cell phone, without the internet, the cell phone becomes useless. I mean, like, without the internet connection, like, say, with Wi-Fi or whatever, you're only going to be having just, just electronic piece, some fancy electronic piece with no use. You know, you won't transfer your money, you won't make videos to upload to YouTube or TikTok. You wouldn't be able to send photos to your friends or family on Facebook, and Facebook won't be out of business. Even Amazon, for example. If you have the Amazon app on your phone right now, say you go on to Amazon, you want to buy like that new cooking machine, whatever, or that, a mixer, whatever, for your cooking hobbies. Well, then you're going to have to go back to the old days where you know, look at JCP Penney's catalogs, or like say with Marshall Field's catalogs, and all those places. And you have the Dresden local mall for that. If Amazon went away, the only other way that Amazon would do is kind of adapt. That means going back to like the old downtown phones. Because with the cell phone, yet again, you had three different kind of communication. The basic one is just talk to like this, the speaker in the ear and the microphone on the bottom. Okay? Then you have the other one, you just text. Put words in and uploads into the other person's line. But then you also have FaceTime, video chat. Like I did earlier with my sister. She lives in Tennessee, I live in Indiana. And we just talked for hours. We even showed each other's houses because we haven't met each other for years. Due to some personal problems, but we got over it. And we just showed ourselves. She showed me her family, her husband. I got to talk to her husband on FaceTime. Well, what happens if that does not come in? What happens if all these other things, all these convenience was on the phone, on your TV, your gaming system right here, like Xbox or PlayStation. Like, this is a PlayStation. And, without it, you definitely wouldn't have no communication. See, back in the old days, people used to go around places, which they still do in some certain scenes, because the old ways is still around. Like going to bars, or going to church, or going to some other places that you know of, that you can bring back communication to. That you can spread some of your own personal information, which also comes to that point. The internet is also one of the bad places to bring in false information. It always has been. If anybody that taxes some things on Facebook or put up on YouTube or whatever, you need to fact check on that. Even like say with some of the news companies too, like CNN and Fox News, they bring in their own information. Back in the old days, news companies used to just bring out the basic, just the information itself. And you have to decide for yourself. You like newspapers and everything else until they changed that. Now when you read, like, say, the New York Times or the Washington Post or this or that and the other, or like, say, the Chicago Times, any other places. Even if, say, like my local newspaper from my city will bring in false information. Then I have to fact check by using other newspapers, which also bring up their own information. And they want to bring up their own, because they're paying their reporters not to give up the true facts and allow you to try to fact check yourself on these things. They just want to tell you what they think they know and just put it there. And that's what comes down to the internet too again. It's bad information. And including, not to say that even with your electric cars actually would be one of the things, is that some of them are going to be they're internet based, most of it with Tesla. Amazon and Tesla will be out of business because the internet what helps their cars. Not to say like say with the automatic driving for the Tesla cars, but it's mostly of the use of GPS and other things. Okay, so the internet will be out. If it's out for 10 years, people then have to learn to adapt. Even the gaming system I just showed you, we had to bring back old school gaming systems, still using CD technology or Blu-ray technology, and then we just give them to them, and we have to start to learn how to readapt into the multiplayer systems for mostly for indoor families. I mean, they bring back, let's say, Guitar Hero. And I like that game. That was actually pretty cool. I like some old school games that they have not ever they're not internet based. But then you have to pay a pretty penny for it. You know, you have to go to your local Walmart and your local shop, local store to buy those, and everything else too. That is almost internet based, equivalently. You can say your Fitbit thing, yeah, that little gizmo that you put on your arm to register your heart rate, your body water, and everything else, your sugar level and all that. Then you put it on your phone. No longer going to be any use. You know, even like your earpiece, like say with this hearing aid or with the everything, go onto your phone. Internet will be gone. Spotify will be out of business too because it's based on the internet. CD companies will have to come back. That means you're going to have to buy, like, say, the latest new whoever singer or whatever who he or she is. You know, the WAP song will have to be top number one again on CD. That has been on my mind. That has been on my mind for years, and yet and somehow that has to be. What? WAP? Oh my God, that was an awful song. But no, I mean, like I say, whenever popular song comes out, you know, that means they'll have to come back out with a CD and play on the radio again. That means old school AM, FM radios will still be around. Because I remember, like, nowadays you have, like, some of those new radios that can tell you what song is playing next on this radio station and all that. And that's kind of more on the internet. How do you even have, like, touchscreen, like, touchscreens on the dashboard now for some of those cars? I remember that my cousin had one. He bought two Sparks. One Spark did have that touchscreen technology. It was kind of awesome though, but also it was kind of internet based too. Without the internet coming around with it, you do not actually have the ability to know what song there is. I mean, back in the old days, you have to guess what song that is, or you have to listen very carefully what the radio announcer is going to say. Well, we're going to play Kid Rock's new song, American Badass. But that kind of song. But yeah, you won't be able to understand it because you were, and then all you'll be hearing is like, okay, what's the song is on that damn radio. Because even some people would be loud or something. I mean, like, the internet itself is going to become different. Without the internet, it will be different. Like I said, people will go back being like their own, including with internet influencers. What would happen with internet celebrities out there? Well, they're going to have to change their jobs. Like I said, everything is going to have to readapt. If the internet went out, say, for 10 years, then they have to readapt. They have some of those internet celebrities will have to run on TV. Now, some had, and they became somewhat successful. But see, that's the problem is, too. If you're trying to run your own, like, say, back in the old days, if you're trying to run your own show, you have to rebuild, like, say, a room that becomes like a studio. You have to buy one of those big TV, one of those big cameras that can program your, broadcast your show through their channel. and just do it. Because they used to have what's called the access channel. As long as you have one of those big cameras that the TV studios that always had, you have one of those, you have a set, you have a certain like way that you want to put on that channel, that's what you have to do. Or let's say it was, there's a lot of things that's what's going to be missing in here. That's only going to be bringing back within scheduled television again. Or with what inconvenience that we go through. Let's say if we want to learn about yoga, we have to start going to a yoga class, or want to learn about how to actually cook some real good food. Do two things: read a book, even like plumbing or electronics. You want to know how to fix your electric wiring or your plumbing? Let's see how. Well, every time I run this sink, there's water always fill up. And now you gotta learn how to fix the plumbing. You gotta build up your intelligence through reading, or talk to some experts out there. Well, I've read dozens of books, and then when you start learning about these things, it's no more than not just one book. It's gonna be multiple books. Probably gonna be like stacked up to your knee to read, and you gotta read carefully. That's how it has to go. See, the internet used to be very convenient because you can just watch a guy's video and he would tell you exactly how it has to be than what the book would say. But you have to follow not just one book, but every other book. And that becomes the thing. I mean, the internet used to be able to help people teach things a lot more quicker, which is very convenient. And very simplistic. But back in the old days, people were highly intelligent because they have to read harder books. They were too complex to the most average person to understand. You know? How even like with this gaming. Back in the old days, I had to go to a local store to find a magazine that's based on cheat codes. Without the internet, I'm not going to be able to find any cheat codes. I have to go to a local store to find a book about that. You know, everything. We're gone. And if the internet went away on this time right now, where we're in the pandemic, it's going to become worse. You know, without the internet, I mean, like, how are you going to get your information about vaccines or about COVID or about, hell, even all the diseases? You probably have to keep talking to a doctor or talking to an expert, which means you're going to make money. That means you're going to spend money. And that's always come the thing. It's still kind of talking to an expert that can freely give you the information on the internet. You're just going to go and talk to your local doctor and talk for hours about what this and that. What happens if I get this? What happens if I get that? You know? For instead of just Googling it, you're just going to have to talk to a doctor and have them become your Google. Or anybody. You know, I used to remember when you used to go to call a phone number, and just dial in the number and just, like 411, you get the information about, like, saying, you know, I had a piece of glass stuck in my foot. What may happen if I keep it in there for too long and all that? You know? You're going to have to learn what's all that is. You know? I mean, there will still be some electronics out there, but like I said, the world will have to readapt. It means people have to go out more. Even movies. I mean, right now with the internet, all you have to use those UBS drives, put it on the projector, and you wouldn't have to go through the whole electronic thing. I mean, it's all digital. But then back in the old days, I mean, you guys have to put the film in the reel, pull it in place, and hopefully it doesn't get screwed up. You know, even movies gonna have to go back to being like that again. Everything, old school. Everything's gonna have to go old school again. That means you're gonna have to drive those combustion engines. I mean, you can still drive the electric car, But without the internet, you're still driving your some cars that is still combustion engine with some electronics into it. They're, now you have a computerized vehicle with no internet access into it. We'll still have that technology, but it'll still be less known. That means it have to be word to mouth. Like, hey, that one car that has a camera at the end where you can know how to park right, so that way you can see better. Or how some of these other cars have more better steering and some, power steering and all that. They're not internet based, but it's just more just on the computer side. Of course, then when you have to drive up, some of those technologies will still be around. But it's the internet will not be if it's been gone for 10 years. And if 10 years comes by, people are just going to come and adapt. See, there's three different kinds of people. Some that are most basically need the internet all the time. Then there are some that are moderate. They're kind of more in the middle between like, okay, I can deal with the internet. It's convenient enough for me. I'll let it go. I'll live with it for some reason. But it can still be old school in some ways. Then you got the old school people that are almost close to being like the Amish. It's like, no internet. I'm just going to live out in the woods and I'm just going to do what my thing is. Like chopping down wood. Like, just living my life that way. And there are some people that have been living out in that way for years. With no internet, just purely on social interaction. And knowing how to actually speak to people. I'm not saying that people today isn't like that. But so that's kind of how it's going to come to be. People are just going to adapt. Go back to being their old ways. And kids are just going to have to be out more. Still being in their homes and have to play phone all the time. Doing stupid shit at the mall. The mall will be coming back. And Amazon's going to have to readapt to work with other local stores. Which may give businesses some chances again. And that's going to happen. Even Elon Musk may probably just going to have to lose some money on the Tesla part. Now, for SpaceX, I don't think so. SpaceX will still be a thing. Even for NASA that they're going to work with. So, it's going to be a possibility. But Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos is going to lose a lot of money from other things. But that's what's going to happen. Without the internet for 10 years. And I hope that if we do lose the internet, might be an interesting thing what's going to happen. Now, some people might freak out and say, oh no, it's internet. No. We're just going to slowly adapt and go back to what used to be in the old days. So hopefully, if that does happen, we'll be fine. We know how to adapt. We're not going to be completely out with all electronics. Just this one thing that made it well too convenient.